Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my friends. Wherever in this world you may be coming to us from, or whichever dimension you may be creeping on us from as well. And if it's the seventh dimension, I know that you can see and hear us, but we can't see or hear you, which is kind of creepy. So what the hell's going on here? Are you a spirit guide or are you with the NSA? Like, what's happening over here? So welcome to another episode of 40 Going on 4, the show that helps you reconnect with that inner child who once puked in the back seat of the station wagon on its way down to Disney. I am here today with the most remarkable guest, two-time international best-selling author, Lonnee Rey. Lonnee, welcome, my
Hi,
friend.
Jeff. Woo! So
I am so stoked that you are here with us today. And those of you who know Lonnee know this is a person that no introduction could ever possibly do justice to, ever. And that will become very apparent as the show begins to make itself manifest.
Oh, I'm just a dumbass who lived to tell about it. Come on.
Aren't we all? For real. I mean, I think, speaking of which, I just finished one of Lonnie's amazing books this morning, right here, How to Deal with a Dumbass. And by the way, look at those teeth. You see those teeth over here? This is some fantastic British dental work if I've ever seen it. This is awesome. If you have dumbasses in your life, Lonnie's the person you need to know.
Just add me to the list.
Lonnee, am I wrong? Tell me, am I wrong?
I just hit myself.
Oh, so Dan's already got his drinking game board at the ready, which is exciting.
Awesome. What's the key word?
Yeah, what is the key word? Well, Dan, we'll hospitalize you before the half-hour mark, man. Don't tempt us, brother. You got two loose cannons here. Willie, my friend, welcome.
Hi, Willie. Hi, Lisa. I'm so glad I'm waving to the camera.
We got Bob Woody in the house now.
Right on. I was going to send you an invite. Right on, Bob.
Lisa, what's doing? #live. I like that. I want to get that tattoo right here.
She's a professional comedian and business.
Yeah.
Business trainer.
Don't bring that Jets juju on us tonight. Don't do it, man.
Oh, too late. He just did it.
Oh, God. Now one of us is going to walk out of here with a sprained ACL or something. That's great. Lonnie's already got an injury she's dealing with. Show him for the folks back home.
Show the people back home.
Look at that.
Got a sprained wrist.
We don't need any more injury juju going on today. We don't need this happening.
It's a lot of things.
Where are we? Lonnee,
it's hard for a writer. Mark O'Brien.
I don't know where we are. Do you know where we are? I don't know where we are.
No, not really. I stopped keeping track. Professional tumbleweeds just keep blowing around.
You moved to Wyoming? Good on you. It's a nice place out there. Low cost of living. The winters, little touch and go. Anne, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Anne. Yay. All the people are here that I love.
Welcome down. So today we're going to talk about something that I'm really excited to delve into today. I said today twice. You can tell how excited I am.
How are we doing today?
We're going to talk about how to rattle yourself awake. But before we get into that, we have to set a foundation for this. So, Lonnee, let's talk pills.
Yeah, you asked the right person about that.
It's that kind of party.
Yeah, it's definitely that kind of party. Okay, so we've all heard the Matrix reference, right? There's blue pill for the people that just don't want to know. Maybe they're NPCs. For those of you who don't know, those are non-player characters. Not everybody has a soul, but that's another topic. Then it's true, but right, whatever. And then
you've been to a Jets game, okay?
A bunch of soulless beings. And then there's the red pill, which once you open your eyes, so you can't unsee it again. So there's things going on that if you want to look, you'll find them. And you can stay in that place and fall into rabbit holes and stuff like that, like I did. And then, what happens after that is people that are what's called black pilled. And that's really just being mad. You're just pissed. The red pill opened your eyes and the black pill is just like, what the hell? What? And then white pill is taking action. And that's really what Rattled Awake, the series, the movement, I'm calling it. I don't know why, Jeff, but I am.
Let's call it a movement. It's better than the movement you got to talk about at the gastroenterologist's office. So let's go with that.
Yes, this is a bigger movement than that. But anyway, we'll get away from that one. White pilled is really like going, oh, okay, it's like that, huh? Which,
Mhm.
which is in the dumbass book so much, right? Oh, okay, those two words cover it all, and then taking action in a way that think global, act local. And it might
Mhm.
just be who's got your address, maybe like move or stop giving the wrong people your address, because once they put their feet up on your sofa you're gonna have to get rid of them. But aside from that, there's other things on a personal level about what we can do with what we've come to realize, and that's why Rattled Awake matters so much to me. Over the last 5 years we've all been shaken. What's your shook moment? Well, let me pick one. There's been a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Right. So
I tell you a trick moment right here.
I see.
See his fantasy football team. You should have seen that performance this weekend. If you want to talk about a shook moment, that's a shook. It shook me. I wasn't even playing her. That shook me right to my core.
I hear
I
she's
need to
good
go
at
to a priest to exercise that one. That was brutal. I'll tell you. Whew. But yeah, there's something about the concept of Rattled Awake that really drew me in. And we get to a point in our lives as adults when there are things that just stop us dead in our tracks. Could be traumatic event on a global scale, could be a traumatic event on a personal scale, could be a dumbass that enters our lives and just is an absolute. In fact, most of the time I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is your jam, it's not mine, it's your jam. That is the catalyst we need to be shaken out of our slumber and rattled awake into who we're meant to be. So let's dig into this a bit. Who are the people in our lives that rattle us awake?
It's usually the ones you don't think will be. And it's a lot of why I wrote my dumbass book. That dumbass book was inspired by the people um that I thought, like, my chapter in Rattled Awake is all about the 2,000 plus food plants that have burned in the last 2 years. And
Sorry about that.
yeah, what I know, like a
I
year
mean,
ago, it was 20. Now it's
yeah.
2,000,
Mhm.
right? So that's huge. And I was just like, wow, surely my neighbors will want to, know what's going on. And
Mhm.
and they didn't. And that really kind of shook me awake. Like, how do you what how do you not care about this? And that just opened up a whole, like, behavioral study on these people that, and these are neighbors. We don't hang out. We maybe say hi.
Mhm.
But ultimately, and when the shit hits the fan, hashtag SHTF, um, I was hoping that they'd have some more stuff in their house and not be at my door. Um, I don't mean to sound
I'm
selfish.
coming to your door because they have better food in Tennessee. I know that. Did I just out you? Did nobody else know you lived in Tennessee? But all right,
No, they know.
that's on me. All
They
right.
know.
I'll stand the post if anybody comes creeping around Lonnie. That's our
Right on.
responsibility now.
Yeah, I love
So
you, Jeff. It
yeah.
is the people that are around us that are so often getting a hall pass.
Mm,
I love this expression: when you wear rose-colored glasses, you miss the red flags.
mm.
And
It's like a denial of reality and denial of what's happening with the people in our lives sometimes.
yeah.
We
And
don't want to see what's happening right in our own relationships. How do we see through that?
sometimes we don't even know, because, like, I was raised in chaos, and like, I was a mess, and sometimes I still am. But a lot of that's been recovered, I hope, or renewed or rewritten, because we can do that. But because I didn't have the ability to see, like, oh, hang on, that's actually going to extrapolate out. Whatever they're doing over there is going to end up being a problem over here. I didn't have that. And
Mm,
so I had to learn the hard way. So yeah, School of Hard Knocks is a lot of hard knocks.
a
Um,
lot of hard knocks, and there's no prize for graduation. You just kind of go. You get through
yeah,
it,
yeah,
and you keep it rolling.
yeah.
Now, what happens when somebody in your life who you trust absolutely rattles you to your core and just shakes the foundation of everything you thought was real? Because as kids, we don't have this concept of, I trust you, but now I don't. We just trust everybody until that trust is broken. As adults, we've got a laundry list once you reach a certain age of people who've did you dirty in a lot of different ways. And a lot of times we sit in this place of blame and every finger goes out instead of the ones that need to come back in. So as these fingers are going out and we're saying, you did this, you did this, you did that, how do we recenter ourselves when we get shook like that?
That's a great question. Own your part. I'm the first one to say, Jeff, that I was wrong. I want to know that. I absolutely. And it's a really big red flag if you're working with somebody, whether working with or relating with somebody who won't do that. You can notice these little things that they will add up, and it will take its toll. If you're the only one saying thank you or I appreciate you or I'm sorry, my bad, you've got an imbalanced relationship, probably working with a narcissist to start with. That's a really nearly impossible thing to fix.
They're fun. They're so fun.
I'd rather run through the house with scissors. No, they're just, yeah, no. So, in the end, it's like the question becomes, do I want more of this or less of this? Really ask yourself that and then move your feet accordingly. Because ultimately, if we keep standing in a swamp, we're going to get covered with swamp. It's just,
yes.
I'm trying to be nice.
That's really strong because every minute of every day, we're faced with that choice. And I think we look at it holistically. Maybe I'll wean them off or cut them off in a month from now, or, maybe I'll look at no. What if we shrink it all to, in this moment right here, I have the choice with this one person. I want more of this or I want less of this. And if each day you make the choice that you want less of what, as they say in New York's giving you a lot of agita. If you want less of that, then choose less and you'll get less and you'll get less and you'll get less and you'll get less.
It also leaves you open for somebody wonderful to come in. When you're not dealing with a bunch of crap, as I put it in the book, cymbal clanging monkeys, on the porch in your head, like you said, Dan, I saw your comment, they do have rent in your head. And you don't want it, and it drowns out your own authority, your own little voice, your inner GPS that wants to say, go left, not right, get out of here, and then we doubt ourselves, and then we just end up in this awful boom, and then it blows up. And who really in the end is at fault? When you recognize something's going on, you got to do something, say something, you gotta, or it's kind of on you.
So what's the first thing you'd recommend for somebody who is, let's say they have this really difficult, I'll be euphemistic as possible, difficult character in their lives who rattles them awake, who gets them out of their slumber. And they went through something really bad with this person. And you can't get them out of your life today. Like there's some engagement, some entanglement you have. What's one thing they can do today to at least begin that process?
How you respond to what's going on makes all the difference in how you perceive and receive what's going on. And so what I found is that saying to yourself, you don't want to incite a fight by saying this, oh, okay, out loud, because it's not meant to be a flippant whatever. It's not that. It is accepting what is, as it shows up, and just say, oh, okay, it's like that, huh? Oh, okay, I see how it is. Because that'll help you to start pulling your energy back in so that they don't quite have so much authority over you in this entanglement. And you can start to go, oh, okay, it's like that, huh? Oh, okay. There's a lot of ways to put inflection on those two words, but ultimately it should make you smile inside. Oh, okay. All right. And then when you can do that, then you can start to sort of, because what you resist persists, right, Jeff?
Every time.
So yeah, so if you like, oh, okay, it's like that. All right. And then the next thing to do, and this is all self-care really, is to ask yourself, how-based questions like, how can I make this work out? Or how can I get the hell out? Or how can I have more fun today than I ever thought possible? Because when you're in that state of mind, you can make better decisions for yourself. That's really what you want is to be in a place that's centered. And then you can go, oh, okay, it's like that. It really is like that. And I am going to have to make a change. And I have seen people give away their authority over and over again to other people that just don't deserve it. And you got to look at that. Own it.
God. I give away my power every day to the people at the DMV, and I feel like a lesser man for it every time. Like, where do you get off telling me I have the right to drive my car? And it's amazing, right? We just give it over. Hey, just take it off, take it. It's amazing. Yeah. Now, I think we have a groundbreaking idea here from the great Bob Woody. Where to put them? In a kennel.
Yep, and don't let the dogs out.
I don't hate it. I don't.
I don't either.
I don't hate it. Bob, we may be onto something here, man. Yeah. Do we have a kennel for the difficult personalities out there? And we say this in only kind of half in jest. What is a difficult personality really? It's somebody who's vibrating at a very low, dense consciousness. Is just really what it is. And we like to slap the terms, good and evil and, brilliant and dumbass. And that's a way for us to interpret it and for us to make sense of it. But really, it's just very dense, low consciousness.
It is. And it is what it is. And it is what it ain't. So again, do you want more of this or less of this? Move accordingly. And
that's the thing, too. I think there's a major disconnect. And I'd love to get your perspective on how do we kind of move forward with this. So one thing we notice a lot is that we have this idea of what we want the world to be and what we want ourselves to be. And yet every day we're faced with these inflection points where we can actually choose to be that. And we're like, nah, screw it. I'm going to do this instead. And then at the end of the day, well, why isn't it like this? I wish it were like this. I want it to be like this. Okay, cool. You can choose this. Now, screw that. I'm doing this. So how do we catch ourselves when we're making these decisions that take us away from what we purport to want?
I think the reward, the cookie at the other side, on the other end of that, has to be big enough to pull us through our self-talk, self-doubt, and procrastination. It really does. We have to be motivated enough.
Cookies move the needle for me, and I can't even eat chocolate anymore, but I'll still do something. I will do unspeakable things for a cookie. I'm not going to lie.
Would you now?
Yeah. Forget about it. Like they'll call me the butcher of the blue line. That in 30 years, for a cookie. It's awful. But I mean, do you feel that there's a compound effect that starts to take, root when you start making these decisions for yourself? You say, all right, I'm rattled awake now into one better decision today. Do you start noticing that stacking up?
Yeah, Jeff, when I took a really hard look at what was going on the clown show on Parade, the bigger picture of losers posing as leaders, expecting us to give our authority over without question. That was awful.
You went to junior high with me too, I can see.
We had the same teachers.
Absolutely.
A lot of us did. Get in line, go to work, be a worker bee, don't think, just do. Right. That's pretty much the indoctrination system. But what I thought was, okay, I can handle that by going, oh, okay, it's like that. I can't fix that. But there is certainly a feeling of helplessness, of a sitting duck when you really see what's going on a much bigger scale than what lamestream TV is showing. It can be overwhelming. I remember feeling traumatized. I disappeared from LinkedIn for about 3 years as I just I'll be back, maybe, and I was gone. I was gone until I could find this again and say, okay, now I'm back. And it was because I was able to transmute what I was seeing and then still find center and still be happy and still not happy about it. But, oh, okay. It's like that. That feeling of sitting duck and helplessness, that is why Rattled Awake came to pass. That's why this series matters so much, because it matters that we say it forward. It matters that every one of us has a story of it. Oh, I thought this and now it's like that. And this is what I did about, or I got laid off and then I became a boss and whatever their shift was, do you know that if you add F to shit, it becomes shift? So fuck it. You have to move forward.
That's too much for my brain to comprehend right now. I'm just trying to compute this right now. It's like that scene in the first Hangover movie, you know, where he's going down the escalator and it's all these different things coming in. He's counting the cards, and it's just there's a lot happening right now. But I think I
Okay.
get it.
Okay.
I think I got you.
So when you're seeing the stuff, the SHIT, you just put a F in there, and it becomes shift. And that shift gears.
We're just moving over
And
here a little bit.
that's it, babe. That's it. Move away from the pile, the steaming, smoking pile of whatever.
Wherever
and
that
then,
is.
yeah, whatever that is for you. And it's important because God, the last thing you want to have is a hashtag SHTF, that stands for shit hits the fan moment, like I have with this broken wrist. And when the shit hit the fan in my world, I realized who wasn't going to be there, and I didn't expect it. And it hurt more than breaking my wrist.
That's powerful. So it's really you got to curate your circle. Really important. You know, who's on your team and who do you not need in your circle when that, because everyone's going to have that moment in life. Everyone is going to have that moment where you're knocked to your absolute knees and like, what now? Yeah.
Yeah. And if those were people that, you know, like you thought they would have your back, and they don't, wow. Oh, okay. It's like that, huh? Oh, okay. It's sad. You'll make you mad. It brought me to my knees, the number of drop. Oh, okay. And there's a number of people that I've seen talk a pretty good game about let's be supportive and let's and I've seen and what I've personally experienced is those are just nice words to them, and
they can
don't
be
invest in that anymore.
This is a great comment here from Christine. You know, I found those you least expect to support you are the ones who show up, and I've seen that in my own life, and there's a lot of magic there when that happens.
That's the other side. You're right, Christine. And I saw that too. When the people that I thought would, I don't know, ask if they could go get some eggs for me, like my next door neighbor of 4 years. And he didn't, you know, at all. For 8 weeks, I didn't hear from him. When that happens, it's disappointing. But then what also happens is as you let them go, other people do show up. I had, you know, out of the blue, thank you, Paula, and you know who you are, just show up and Chef Jill, she's in the Rattle Awake book. The team that came together for the book, all of them, Willie, all of them, just so supportive. It couldn't have been any better. It can't. It's still going on. Like, who knew? I've been a lone wolf freelance writer, Jeff, for years. I have not been a leader of a project. I haven't been trying to do a movement. You know, I was over here, you know, with the global microphone, making episodes of Dumbass, the podcast by myself. And I'm just like, well, that's pretty funny. Okay, send, you know, and I didn't interview anybody for years. I was just really kind of like isolated. And then all of a sudden I had to come out. I needed help. And I hated that. I've been an independent lone wolf for a long time. And so, yeah.
It's tough. It's really tough. And this is where, and LinkedIn user could be one of many people. I won't even play the guessing game right now, but whoever you are, I love you. Thanks for joining us. 100% agree. Who is standing beside you is generally not how you think will be. And it's really interesting. And I want to come back to a couple of comments around this. You know, one from Rachel, amazing you disappeared. And, you know, those of you who know Rachel's amazing. And she's had quite a story and quite a journey to be euphemistic about it. And check out our LinkedIn page if you want to know what she's been through, and you know, the people who were at her side and those who she was counting on who let her down. And it's really quite a story. It'll blow your mind and really help you reevaluate a lot of things that you took for granted. Mark here, our circles curate themselves. I want to dig into this. This is a fantastic comment. Let's talk about that. Lonnee, what does that mean to you? Our circles curate themselves.
I wish I knew. Mark, sometimes you do $10 ideas in a $5 crowd, bro. I don't know, Jeff. How do you take it?
The way I see it is that, and I love this expression, and as I get older, I find more truth to it, which is we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. And whatever we're putting out there energetically will be reflected back to us in the situations we find ourselves in the people that we interact with, and we'll be given, and that doesn't mean I'm feeling great today. I'm only going to encounter positive people. That's not what it means at all. It means you're going to encounter situations where you're going to have an opportunity to show, am I really feeling loving and magnanimity and all that stuff today? Or am I harboring a lot of stuff, and is that going to come out too? And over time, how we project is what will project back to us. And then that circle, like Rachel said, it is constantly evolving right here. It is constantly evolving. So as we evolve, our circle, like the people who I spend the most time talking to now are radically different from what they were just a year ago. And I've noticed a change in my mood and my overall disposition and approach to life because of that.
I love your philosophy and positivity. I'm also going to say this, that you can be the best and brightest person, and you are still going to encounter some really crappy people. That is not your doing. That is life.
Oh, for sure.
And it took me a while to actually acknowledge not everybody's here to be a good person. Not everybody here gives a damn. In fact, there are people who thrive on being jerks, and you'll learn a lot from them. And it is not your fault that you've run into somebody who's a jerk or, treats you badly. What is your responsibility is this. Are you listening to yourself? Because only 99% of the time when I've overridden my still small voice, which I did, that's how I broke my wrist. Let me be the poster child for what not to do. I was on roller skates, thousands of hours on skates, no problem, confident. I was racing around. I was having a good time. And I went to do a turn, and my little voice said, not yet, don't do it yet. And I said, I got this.
Absolutely. This is a great comment by Dan. And I want to say this and also qualify my previous statement here to kind of jump on that, which I love. So sometimes the universe will send toxic people in your life packing at the same rate. New people will fill their spaces. Absolutely. And so I think the phrase of, you don't attract this, you attract what you want. I think that is misunderstood in a lot of new age circles to mean, if I just think great things will happen and only great people will come. And that's not true at all. When you attract what you are, attracting means like, what are you curating? Like your circle of friends, I believe, will be a direct reflection of where your consciousness is at that given point in time, because you can't be in an evolved sense of consciousness and come from a place of love and all these things and have friends who are just mired in hatred and negativity and just all these awful emotions. And that is your of them, but you cannot exist these two different frequencies.
They don't like you either. Let's be honest here. You're different from them. Like, why would you guys hang out? Like, that makes no sense at all.
I've seen it. I've seen it in my own life, depending on where, and I've, like everybody, I've had my own journey where I've been in different levels of frequency. And I've noticed when I've been in a place of everything sucks, screw the world, this and that, I have had a circle of friends who reflected that right back and believed all the same things. I don't believe that anymore, and they are not in my life anymore.
Wonderful.
And it's funny how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, you took a big step today. I can't hear you sometimes.
And Bob's what is comment, Lonnee? This is a great one here. Within the fabric of our social circles, there exists a process by which the members shape their own compositions, like a living, breathing organism.
That's deep.
How's that one tickling you? That's good, huh?
I'm
right,
Bob. I didn't know you had it in you. Dang.
Bob's always got it in him. Bob's always dropping the truth bombs here.
Yeah, Bob and I have only kibitzed about a certain kind of beer that you shouldn't name on this show. Anyway,
and, Lisa's got a great comment. The little voice is the biggest voice,
and it's the one to listen to. Absolutely. And that's also why I wrote the dumbass book, is because I've noticed that lamestream media and men in white coats who probably got D's in college were having authority over people's lives when they really shouldn't have. They should have been questioned, and to be strong enough in our own selves. When we are strong, then the weak-willed types and the shady types and the shifty types, they will fall away. Because
history is fluid like that. It's an empowered population that has an opportunity to really think things through. And, this is what I find so interesting. How deep does the rabbit hole go? It just keeps going and going. It's like the Energizer Bunny of the unified field. Keeps going and going and going and going and going.
It does it as long as we do, because I don't know for how long my brother was and I was like, why do I care? Why do I care that if the earth is flat or not? I don't care. Like, there's enough lies to be looking at right now. But, slowly but surely, I was, the math wasn't mathing on a round earth. And I was like, there might be something to it. To be willing to say, I don't know, is the beginning of new possibilities. And so instead of being, nope, that's when we stop growing. It's like a tree that doesn't get watered anymore. No more fruits coming out,
Yeah. At some point there has to be, I think an opportunity for all of us to examine everything in our own lives. And this is something that I've been wrestling with a lot, in that our own belief systems, every single one of them has been implanted into us by somebody else. And it was implanted into them by somebody before them. And you see this a lot on social media, where people have these self-identifiers. And this is really interesting to me. And I find this so fascinating. And I get tons of blowback for this, but I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I enjoy it.
I love that about you. Bring it.
Yeah, let's do it. One thing we find is that on a couple of different levels, right? We will find folks that say, and so let's take both sides of the spectrum. Let's be fair here, because I go after everyone. I don't care. So on the right side, you'll have people that will identify themselves, say American, patriot, conservative, Christian, down the line. And the left, people say, progressive, pro-choice, ally, this. Okay, so everyone will have these identifiers. If you dig into each one of these identifiers, they're all about an idea, a concept, a belief, an identity that was implanted upon them by somebody else, who had it implanted upon them by somebody else. And this is simply I am part of a chain that came way before me, but I'm going to own this as if it's an original thought of mine.
Bro, back in 2020, it's 100% true. I went on, I had a little moment. I was still on Facebook mostly at that time. And I said something to the effect of, you might want to just have a look at your allegiance to certain organizations. And at the time I was naming BLM, because I said, they're really maybe not doing the things you think. Have you looked at them lately? And I experienced an absolute public cancellation, thrashing, bullying, attack like I've never had before in my life. And I was just like, wow, I just think we're all in this together, and all lives matter. And they were like, you bitch, you're going to be on the wrong side of history.
2020 was a special time and a place.
Wait a second. Hold on. Hang on. Where did you get your ideas, and are they still valid and true about these people that are taking your money and hustling you? I didn't even say all those words. It didn't matter. It was done. Yeah. Done. Forget about it.
Yeah, I think that it's what it came down to. There was, and I think this was an interesting phenomenon that we saw a lot in 2020, for a lot of different things, which was there was an emotional appeal to a certain thing. And if that thing appealed to that which we already believed, we went all in on it without that moment of, is this true? Is this objectively true? And that, again, this was for both sides. This idea of, is this objectively true? And I could count on the right hand of a bad woodshop teacher how many folks actually took a second. I love that joke, by the way. And it's not even mine. I will credit that to Dennis Miller, like in the 90s. So that is a stolen joke. And I might be the first comedian in history who has openly looked in the camera and said that is a stolen joke. Not mine. So you're laughing at Dennis Miller's genius 30 years ago. I'm just the messenger.
It's still good. Hey, Erica.
There's a long comment here, but I love a good deep comment.
Oh, this guy.
Mark's got some gems today.
Deep.
I'm going to read this out loud for the folks who are just listening. An ideology is like a spirit taking up its abode in a body. It makes that body hop around in certain ways. And that same body would have hopped around in different ways had a different ideology happened to inhabit it. I'll give you an example of a friend of mine who this is profoundly true for. So he was a good friend of mine in college, and he grew up in a church that was vehemently anti-Catholic, vehemently. And they were the #1 producer of anti-Catholic literature in the entire country. So, and he adopted this. He was the most fervent anti-Catholic I knew, and he would go around talking about the papists, this, that, and the other. It felt like Kennedy's campaign in the 60s, but like in the 2000s. It was weird.
Wow.
So he has this personal spiritual awakening where he discovers Catholicism, and he not only discovers it, he goes all in, and he becomes the most devout Catholic I ever met in my life, and the greatest defender of the church and the greatest defender of the Pope. To this day remains so, which I found to be
he's
the most
grossly
incredible
misinformed.
shift.
Sorry.
And I think this quote by Kenneth Burke that Mark put up there illustrates that so beautifully. It's like, who am I even dealing with here?
Well, you know what the upside of that is that we can choose to adopt a new idea. And I just say, let's do it with information, because if you're only getting half the truth, what's the other half?
Right.
You know, and honestly, as you know, 40 plus years that I spent trying to recover what happened when I was raised, whatever. The most significant thing, honestly, was doing an inventory of every thought I had. And I started the page with "I believe ... and wrote line after line after line after line until it was just like, okay, there's some conflicting beliefs. There's some old ones. I don't know where that shit came from. Let me get that. Let me take that out, and that, and that. And then, you know, process of firing the sentries from, you know, the little guards that a child puts in place to protect themselves, that we're still running stuff that, and our beliefs our actions, you know, are based on our belief. So it's really good idea to take a look at those and then just ferret out and replace. I mean, we're malleable. Let's, like,
we're evolving. We're a living organism.
We can do this. Yes.
We are. And
be great, you know, fun, but it's important. Go ahead.
It's so important. Lonnee, what have you seen in your
I can't hear you.
Yourself Awake and that critical thinking when you feel like, okay, I always believed this was right, but is it?
Jeff, can you say the question again? There's a lapse.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So sorry, I can repeat it in French if you want. It'll sound more elegant.
Yes, that'd be beautiful.
Désolé, je ne parle pas français.
No. Yes.
I don't speak a word of it. But I was in Quebec City a couple of weeks ago. That really came in handy. It was just a very elegant way of saying, I'm sorry, I don't speak French, but they
I gotcha.
It worked out. Let's build the question off of this quote here from Dan, which I love, is when Groucho Marx quit the Friars Club, he wrote, I don't want to belong to any club that would accept me as one of its members. I love that quote, Dan.
Good one, Dan.
Now, when did you feel like you were in the middle of either a belief system or a friend group and you were kind of rattled awake to think, wait a second, this doesn't work for me at all?
You know what? It was, and I overrode it, and boy, did I pay for it. It was the first time, the opportunity to be in a book, and it was a collaboration book. And I had been speaking for years with the gal who ended up being the head of it. We had this fantasy, someday we'll both be speakers, we'll travel across the country. Look, it all seemed to come together. And then it didn't. And then it didn't, and this and that and that. And I was so scared that I would never have the chance to do it again, that I overrode the get out. And I didn't. I stayed in. And not to sound, oh, poor me, I got bullied. Oh my God, I wanted to take my own life. It was so bad. Like, I was just like, I can't. It was that bad. And I was.
Where do you want to take it? To Walmart? To the movies?
Or? Yeah. And then what happened
is that humor for the win.
But it's a good one. Yeah, I wanted to take it on down the road. That's for damn sure. And I kept having this nightmare. And in this dream, and by the way, I dream in Technicolor with credits at the back end. So it was really terrifying. Repeat dream, nightmare. And I'm in this long house and like a lodge. And there's this group of people with me. And there is this T-Rex that comes from the woods. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, shut up, you guys, shut up. And he leads down, and I can see his freaking eyeball looking at me in the window, and I'm terrified. And I'm running away from them because they're making noise that brought him in to begin with. And the thing is coming after me. I'm hiding in closets, under beds, night after night. I had this freaking dream. And then finally I put it together. I was like, get the hell away from these people, and the T-Rex will stop. And that's exactly what happened.
And then the raptor showed up, and then all hell broke loose.
I took a ride on the raptor. Fuck it.
Every time, just when you think the T-Rex is gone, then the freaking raptor started circling you. Like, oh, great. Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, it really, once again, Jeff, it was one of those, things weren't quite lining up. But does that mean we're supposed to push through? At what point do we say, I thought it was a good idea, but it's not, and I don't know if it'll ever happen again. I'm going to cry for my losses, but trust the gut. Trust your gut. Become your own guru. Stop listening to those other people.
Yes. Let's dig into this, because I think this is a really, really important thing that a lot of times we feel like we have to, because we had an idea or a part of a group, or we had a belief or whatever it is, we're on a path. If it's not working out, well, we just got to double down on the damn thing. And at what point do you just cut the losses and say, maybe this isn't working out for me, and maybe everything in the universe is trying to bash me over the head with that knowledge, but I'm not paying attention?
Well, that's when you ask for a sign and then read it and then follow it. And there's no other way around it, really. And sometimes I got a professional tumbleweed here. That means I've tried everything. As long as there wasn't blood involved, I've probably done the job. Okay, let's just say it that way. Right. Okay. So anyway, I won't ask you about that one.
No, it's fine. It's all right. It's like I said, I was joking on a podcast I was on Saturday. I'm always like one click away from complete cancellation. So it's as the Klingons say, today is a good day to die. Yeah, that's it, Erica. Sunk cost fallacy. And this is, we talk about this in business a lot, but this is so pertinent to our own lives. And the whole thing blows up. And I think a sunk cost fallacy, and Lonnee, I'd love your perspective on this, is when I think it just blows up. You're kind of rattled awake, but you choose to go back to sleep. You choose to go back on the path that wasn't working for you, thinking, if I just try harder in this relationship or in this business or in this ideology or whatever it is, it'll finally work this time.
We've all been there and probably will be, because we get that. And I don't know if it's true. If you try harder, will that square peg go in the round hole? I don't think so. We have to at some point just go, cut your losses. Seemed like a good idea at the time. I don't know. And that's hard, especially when your overhead is depending on you figuring out what the heck you're going to do next.
That's the other part. And we get really caught up in this. And I think a lot of it is safety. We feel that, well, we have to keep doing this because it's all we know. At the end of the day, it's all we know. This is what makes us comfortable. So obviously this has got to be the thing.
Yeah. And that has a lot to, it's a good point. This is what we know. My brother has been working a very steady job. And he says, sis, I love you so much. It just bothers me that you don't know what's going to happen next. He says, I sit in this truck and I know what's going to happen every day. And I know what my paycheck's going to be. And he says, I don't know how you live like that. I just don't know how you do it. And I said, it's just been my way, I guess. I mean, I've had regular jobs. They wouldn't have me, but no, it's not true. Well, a little bit. But it so really, like, who's whispering in your ear? He's not telling me I'm doing it wrong. He's saying he's uncomfortable with it because he worries about me. So we really have to, trust our own voice, take back authority over our lives and go, you know what? I know this looks crazy to you. That's what I call the big yes, by the way. If something feels right, the big yes.
Okay, let's talk about that. The big yes.
Yeah, the big yes. See, this is how you
dive right in. The big yes.
Yes, this is an answer to your question, is how do we know? And I say, if there are elements of a no, then it's not a big yes. In other words, if it's not flowing, it's not going, that's not the big yes, and that's not what you do. The upside of it is, the big yes is that feeling that something, it can defy logic, look crazy to everybody else, but who cares? It's for you. What calls to you is for you, not them.
Yes. I've experienced this in my own life in a number of different ways. And there were a lot of people who straight up laughed me out of the room when I told them the idea for my business over a decade ago. And one of them was me, but I'm like, well, shut up. I'm going to do it anyway. So,
shut up. No, it's a good idea. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But Angel and Devil doing their thing. And, here I am. I'm Judge Mills Lane. Like, I want a good, clean fight. Watch the kidney punches and, letting them go after each other. And it was crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I wrote the dumbass book again, because it's like, who are we listening to? What authority should they have? If you want to hike the Andes, don't ask homebodies if it's a good idea.
Yes. Oh my God. That's it. That's it. If you have a big idea, anybody watching this out there, if you have a big idea that you believe in, but somebody else thinks is nuts, consider the source. Who's the person telling you it's nuts? You know who it's not? Somebody who cashed in on their own big idea. Promise you. It's not that person, because somebody who had a big, crazy idea of their own and made it into a thing will never look at your big, crazy idea and say, nah, don't do it. You're nuts. They will encourage you. Now, maybe they think your execution's a little off the rails, and maybe they'll help guide you back onto a path where you can bring it to fruition. But the naysayers are the ones who, and that does say this as generously as I can, have never had the gumption to follow through on what they wanted to do. They've dimmed their own light, and they're going to try to dim yours. Don't let them.
Yeah, it hurts their eyes.
Yeah.
Give them some sunnies and walk away.
Yep. Don't ask a toddler how to be a marathon runner.
SNS. Bye-bye now.
Yeah. Peace out.
Yeah. Yeah. Toddler, I use that in the book a lot, Melvin. I use that. These are toddlers. And what you want to realize is that you're working with a toddler. Just because baby blocks have numbers on them doesn't mean they can do the math. So what you want to do is just go, there, I get it. Bye-bye now. And step out of the playpen, lock the gate behind you, and just keep going. And it's not being judgmental. It is using good judgment. And that's really important.
That's it. And none of this is driven by a spirit of, I hate that person or anything like that, because that'll just drag you into the mud. It's that just because you don't have permission to be in my life anymore doesn't mean I have ill will toward you or any of that. It just means the circle is now closed. You're on, the circle of trust. You're here, Greg. And that's it. That's it. And the conversation's over. There's nowhere to go from here. And I think we just gave Erica a matrix glitching moment. I think something pretty trippy just happened just now. I'm here for it. I hope so. He was saying this live just loop. Maybe it did.
I want to take this moment to thank the people that came on, that I invited, that mean so much to me. I don't know everybody here, and those I look forward to knowing you. But I wanted to really say thank you, because taking the time out of your day. Sorry, I've been through a lot with people that you couldn't count on that you thought you could, and the people that have shown up that I didn't even know would be so instrumental have changed my life. Erica Warfield is one of them. Mark O'Brien is another. Lisa David Olson has been nothing but support. I can't, George Monty, I can't wait to be on your show. Dan Smallin, you too. Russ Hedge, he's been nothing but, sunshine with legs. And I appreciate that. And Nicole, she was here earlier. I saw that. If I've missed you and we know each other, I'm sorry. I want to thank you. I just had to take that moment before we get on to, another tangent, not tantrum. Maybe it's a tantrum. You want to rant on something?
Let's do both. We can do it. We can do a tantrum tangent.
Okay, I'm over it.
There's no rules here. No. We can do whatever we want.
What was your favorite part of the dumbass book?
I think, there were so many parts, but one that really jumped out to me, which I love, was, this is a great line, and I should have highlighted here. It said, plan is a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat that again. Plan is a 4-letter word. How many times on this? And when it doesn't work out and this comes back to, well, I'm just going to force it. Doesn't work out again. I'm going to force it again, and I'm going to keep going. And the universe is saying there's something better for you if you just open your eyes, take a deep breath, and lean into that. Like, thank you. But no, hell no. I'm going right back to the plan and see how that works out for you.
Yeah, it is a 4-letter word. Mark Reed, you got up for a snack. Mark in the dark. What's up, Holmes?
My man in Japan.
Thank you. My man in Japan. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I got to tell you, having done George and Dan shows, you're in for a treat on both counts. These are amazing dudes.
I can't wait.
You're going to be in for the most amazing conversations, and I cannot wait for those episodes. So everybody out there, check out both of their podcasts. We have Dan Smolin right here. What's Your Work Fit? Awesome show. Definitely check it out. George, I don't even know where you disappeared. I'm scrolling for you, man. You're buried so deep. Just pin yourself. Ah, here we go. George Monty. Check out George Monty too. His show will absolutely blow your mind into 1,000 pieces every time you see it. He has the most incredible high energy, and you're going to talk about every conceivable rabbit hole under the sun.
I can't wait.
We will be thinking and dreaming and expanding as it unfolds, and it's going to be amazing. Something about this community here that continues to evolve every week on this show and others is just reinforcing what I've been believing. There is an inpouring of light that's coming in, and there is a rise in consciousness. And sometimes it's ugly and it's messy. We're kind of in the puberty stage of human evolution. It's kind of a pain in the ass at times, but it's also beautiful. And I think, Lonnee, you're representing this next wave of thinking, which is that, we don't have to be hostages to these old thought patterns and these old paradigms. We can think for ourselves, and it might be unpopular. And if it's true or not, that's up for you to decide. It's not for, your person next to you or your news anchor to decide. You can determine what's true for you. And we'll all eventually come together and say, okay, we're smart enough to figure this out. And if we can all objectively figure out what's happening, we can create something beautiful together. I believe we're moving in that direction. I really do. But we're going to get all kinds of weird things that come in the meantime, and all kinds of weird thoughts that come, and that's fine.
That all of the above is true, and it's beautiful that you live in that place and space too, hon. That's what I love about you, is that light that shines from you. And there are those of us who have processed enough to be like, okay, I'm on the other side of all the dark clouds. I get what's going on there in the mud. Let's see what we can do with what we have. How can I have more fun anyway, in spite of this?
That's it. I love that. This is so good. Let's really dig into this. How can I have more fun anyway? No matter what's going on in the world or your life. How do you, Lonnee, every day make a conscious choice to have more fun?
I actually, Jeff, some days aren't, but mostly. So I see, for those days, you have to go through it to get over it, and the trick's not to get stuck in it, but to allow yourself to have those things, and then don't make them your identity. Moving right along. What I found is that, just saying.
Some people are going to be super attacked by that, but
don't shoot the messenger. But,
I hear you.
All right. Yeah. So what I found is that when we ask a question like that, how can I have more fun today than I ever thought possible? The how can I implies that there's an answer. Yeah. And you don't have to sit there and go, nah, what am I going to do? You don't have to. Honestly, just ask the question and forget about it. Because at the end of the day, if you remember to look back, it will have turned out to be more fun than you thought it could. And it is that willingness to ask the question and be open to what shows up.
It's all got a weird way of working out, doesn't it?
It does. It does on its own. I'm here in spite of myself, like I'm still flogging a mirror. Like how? I don't know.
Same. How many of you in the comments have ever had a moment where you look in the mirror and you have this double take, like, wait, I'm still here?
Right?
I don't get it.
Are we done yet? Jesus.
For real? It's like a surreal moment. You just, nah. Really?
Yeah. I know. 30 years later, still doing that. Like
still doing it. Just how do you let it come? And it's not even a wow, I'm still alive moment. It's wow, I'm still this character moment. Like I'm still this person named Jeff living this life, living this story. That's so interesting, because I feel like by now maybe I would have been a different character on a different planet doing a different thing. And like, wow, this is still going on? Okay. Interesting.
Well, what's interesting is, and maybe we'll have another time to visit and talk about this, Jeff, is that time when I had an amateur astrology reading group, they read my natal chart, and they wanted to confirm, are we on the right track? We're kind of new at this. And 6 of or 7, they, ma'am, come here. Can we see on the chart that you were 3 when your parents got divorced. Is that right? And I said, holy shit, that's right. You see that on my natal chart when my parents got divorced when I was 3? It's on the chart. What else is there? And maybe wonder what else they saw that they didn't ask me about. But what it prompted was a lifetime of asking the question, is it all already done? And the typical fallback is, oh no, there's free will. Oh, there's free will. Yeah, you can decide to override your still small voice. That's your free will. You can absolutely do that. Eventually, that's the biggest lesson I think in life. But let me ask you this. It can look like free will that you made a left and you should have made a right according to the blueprint. But maybe that's on the blueprint too. It just appears to be free.
Now, I don't disagree with that, actually. You know, I've given this a lot of thought, and this is what I've landed on. Now, you tell me where you sit on this. I don't. This is just my own perspective, and I say this with that,
Okay.
always with that qualifier.
Okay.
I do not believe that predestination and free will are at odds. In fact, I think they're both 100% true. And here's how I reconcile it. I believe in the unified field, everything that could happen will and has already. And the free will that we exercise is the free will to choose which of that reality we are going to experience at that given time. So, you know, it's like you're on a road. I look at it like you're on a road trip from New York to LA. And on this trip, there's a lot of different roads that can get you there. Now, the predetermination is that the map's already laid out. New York exists, LA exists. The roads that take you from one to the other already exist. What you do will not change the fact that there is a road to take you from point A to point B. What you can choose is which route you will take there and which experiences you'll have. Are you going to have some Midwest hot dish on the way? Are you going to go the southern route and have some good barbecue? What's it going to be? That's up to you. But you can experience that based on your own.
I like that. I like that. The journey.
I'm trying to square the circle constantly, but that just, I don't know why it strikes me as true, and I've experienced it as true. But
you know, yeah. there's just, I love that idea, and I remember when I was little, sitting on the airplane, 11 years old, and I loved to fly, and I was mature enough to fly on my own, and the stewardesses looked out for me, and I was loved to fly, and I looked out and I panicked. I didn't know why, because I loved to fly, and I thought we're gonna crash, and I'm freaking out as an 11-year-old Ken, and this voice said, "Don't worry, it's not your time yet." And I whipped around. I'm like, who the hell said that to me? Because I wasn't like crying. And I heard it again. I looked out the window at the wings. I was like, I'm afraid. Don't worry, it's not your time yet. And I was like, okay, I don't know who's talking to me, but I hit the button overhead. Ding, stewardess, can I get a Coke? And that was it. You know, it's just like there is some other agenda going on. There is.
Was it a gremlin? Was it
it
Twilight Zone episode?
No, maybe.
Was it the drunk sitting next to you who had way too much at the airport bar and it's like, it's not your time yet?
I swear other
Thank
people
you,
could
Yoda.
hear it. It was out loud, man. I'm just like, wow. I guess maybe that makes me clairaudient or something.
Well, if you have any clairaudience coming up, I could definitely use some help with certainly with my next book. And you and I will talk about that a lot more anyway. But I do want to, well, first of all, I just want to thank you more than anything for coming on today. Lonnee, you're a ray of light, and you offer such an interesting and passionate perspective. And I think it's important because we, especially in the LinkedIn ecosystem, we're exposed every single day to people who start a post with unpopular opinion and proceed to tell you the most popular thing that's currently circulating, thinking it's some kind of a renegade thought, but it's like just literally what everybody else already believes and is thinking. You'll speak your mind. You'll say things that not everyone's going to agree with. A lot of people think it's way out there, but you know what? I'm glad you do it. It's a service. It really is, because I think it's important to be exposed to every perspective out there, no matter what. So thank you for being you, my friend.
Oh man, thank you. Wow, I'm glad you're the embrace the weirdo in the corner instead of shoot the messenger type. You know, we're
I am
birds
the
of a
weirdo.
feather.
I've always
That's why I love you so
been,
much.
if I'm not embracing the weirdo, what the hell am I doing? I've always been the weirdo, and that's not always been easy. But that's the cool thing about the 40 going on 4 concept is how to embrace that again. Because as children, we're all weirdos. That gets beaten out of us, but how do you find that again? That's where the fun begins. So I have a couple of questions that I am going to begin asking all the guests to wrap up. One is called the big question, and the other is the really big question. So we're going to start with the big question. What's the meaning of life? According to Lonnee Rey.
For me, it's the glory of the creation. And I instantly saw a flower. I've had psychics say flowers are like your children, aren't they? And I was like, yeah. And when I look at the amazing, intricate, the beauty of a flower, to me, that's life. That's the meaning of life. Is just full on beautiful self-expression.
I love it. I love it. Expression and existence. That's beautiful. And now the really big question. 1992 Olympics. Were you on Team Dan or Team Dave?
I'll never tell.
Nobody ever wants to. Ah, God. I never get a good answer on that. Friends, if you want to connect with Lonnee, do so on LinkedIn. Check out our website, thirdpartyinsights.com, to work with Lonnee, to scale up and become the best version of you, to bounce every amazing idea you have in this life off and turn it into a best-selling book. This is the person you need to be talking to.
Oh, thank
Lonnee
you.
Rey, my dear friend, thank you so much. Everybody, wish you nothing absolute best.
Thank you.
Be well.